Thank you for downloading episode 357, Let Me Tell You Why You're Wrong podcast. This week we have buying federal employees, USAID, keeping boys out of girls' sports, Uncle Sam wants you, holding cash, kiddie data, dudes are the best actors, and pawning that title. I'm Dave Roberts. With me is my partner in this endeavor, Pike County Commissioner Ken Pollard.
Yeah, hey there.
What's going on, brother?
Not much. Had a little travel this week, and actually,
you went to Philly of all
Philly and New
places.
Jersey. I know both of those.
I mean,
flight was good though.
Everyone thinks that traveling for a living is glamorous. You went to Philly and Jersey.
You know what Delta did? So me and you both fly a good bit, but for some reason, I get the automatic upgrades to Comfort Plus, but I haven't turned it off where they put me in a middle seat with a Comfort Plus upgrade. That happened to me this week.
I have seen that a good bit. It doesn't happen to me just because I just don't.
Yeah, you fly up front.
Don't do that. But yeah, if you have, say, an exit row that's considered main cabin, and you're on the aisle, which I like. I
was in an aisle seat in the back, and they upgraded me to Comfort Seat Middle or Comfort Plus Middle, which is terrible. I hate being in the middle seat.
You do get both armrests, though.
Not the one I was on. I had a guy about 320 on my left, and then a guy on my right that had his arms all over the armrest. So I just sat there.
You sat there with the arms crossed.
I sat there for an hour and a half watching some movie called Venom, the new Venom movie, which was actually really, really entertaining. Highly recommended watching Venom. It's like the third one in the series. It's very good.
Well, you don't have much choice when you were sitting on an airplane. I mean,
no, it was terrible.
You're going to be entertained.
It was terrible. But I did book a trip to, I got to go to a conference next month in Budapest. I had no clue where Budapest is, so I actually booked. Yeah, really? I actually booked that trip yesterday.
You flunked geography?
I did. I didn't know it was like it borders Ukraine on the west, and it's.
I'm aware of where it is.
Yeah. So I heard it's an incredible. Well, Hungary is the country, but I heard it's an incredible city.
Well, yeah, but it's a not to make fun of the name Hungary, but it's a really good food.
Yeah,
city.
I've heard the city's good. So flying over there is middle of March, so that should be interesting. I may stop back by. I don't know if you saw the announcement from Trump this week, but I was thinking of stopping back by Trump Gaza. It sounded like.
Yeah. Go and look. Gaza does have nice beaches. It's on the Mediterranean.
It's on the Mediterranean. Trump said he's going to demolish it and then build a beautiful Riviera where Gaza was. I think the problem is nobody wants to take the people of Gaza. Like, where are they going to go?
That is another thing. Is Iran, Syria. Those countries do not want the Gaza people. Nobody wants.
I mean, nobody's wanted them for thousands of years, weapons, though. I mean, that's the problem. We didn't just wake up last week and say we didn't want the people living in Gaza, the Palestinians. This has been ongoing.
If they were on board with it, it would be a huge windfall for them. Because again, it's a beautiful area of the Mediterranean. If they were on board with it, they could make a ton of money, but they're not. Overwhelmingly, they're not. Yes, you're gonna find a minority of people like, well, hell yeah, I'll work at a hotel, but yeah, you just, I don't know. When he said that, everybody like me was like, what? Like. All right, say he puts up a Trump Plaza Gaza, beachside resort. I'm not booking that trip.
Yeah, he's not doing it. Look, who wants their tax dollars? I mean, I thought we were trying to stop spending money on all this international stuff, international aid. And look, this is never going to happen. I just thought it was entertaining that he said that. And a lot of people say it's coming from his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, because Jared invests a lot of money with and he actually said it too a couple months ago. So I think this was just Trump running off of the mouth again.
I think Trump trolls.
Yeah, I think it had to be trolling. Had to be.
And look, I don't like it because I think that the office of the president is above trolling, but he trolls. That's just what Trump does. He trolls. And what it does is it gets everybody talking about that instead of the other crap that he's doing. Now, last week I did go to the school board. I saw this, and I got 5 minutes. A lot of people liked what I had to say. The members of the board did not.
Yeah, I didn't necessarily like what you said, by the way.
Well, but it was I made a persuasive argument.
I guess. I mean, I don't know. I mean, if you say you did,
all right. So this is about opting out of the floating homestead exemption, and basically what I told the board is before you start looking for more money from us, you need to start looking at what you're wasting money on.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good. I don't know if you. Yeah, I agree. I think that's what's going on in Washington at the moment. But school boards have not been really reluctant to look at how they spend money internally. I mean, that's where you see. I think the counties are taking a bad rap with all this HB 581. Most of the school boards are opting out, and those are the ones that are spending most of your tax dollars at the end of the day.
Right. Well, I think the school board in Paulding County makes up like 75% of our property tax.
Yeah, right. But everybody gets mad at the county when they start opting out. And it's like, well, county's only 25%. And typically, a lot of counties manage their budget really well.
Well, and our county's not opting out. They're not even holding the hearing.
But y'all will pass the FLOST in December. Yeah, if the voters vote on it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, yeah, the county's not, but the school board was not happy to hear what I had to say. It's funny that a good friend of mine, his wife is the chairwoman. And after I got done eviscerating them, I was out in the hall. It was standing room only, so I went out in the hallway because honestly I had to go pee. And I didn't want to walk back through all that to get to my chair. So I was talking to the chairwoman's husband, who's a good friend of mine, and we set up a chance to go, go grab lunch this week. And, he's capable because he's a former politician himself. He's capable of separating the politics from personal.
Everybody's doing the Doge stuff now, though. I mean, that's even at the state level. Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones is forming a committee to look into all state spending. I saw there was a new bill or Representative Matthew Gamble, who lives up in the sort of North Georgia area, said he opened up a website where people could go put in if they saw government things that need to report for spending, that they could go to his website and report that. I wanted to go out and say they need to stop forming study committees in Georgia. That would be a good way to save taxpayers a lot of money and quit paying per diems for legislators to drive all over the state. But I doubt if they're going to look at any of that stuff.
Yeah, on Wednesday, I went down to the Capitol as a representative of Shepherd's Rest, the women's shelter, and I was not pleased.
Did you get a photo with all the representatives down there?
Oh, I got those photos, but it was part of a lobbying effort. I never would have signed on if I knew it was part of a lobbying effort.
You knew it was.
Yeah, but they're talking about bills that hadn't been written yet and pushing it. And the other thing is in this group, it was highly liberal. Our little section is not. Shepherd's Rest is not. It's headed by Dr. Catherine Melton, and she's a conservative and all that stuff. But we had like 6 dudes in dresses. One person, it's actually 2 people got up talking about how this push to get rid of illegal aliens it makes domestic violence worse. Which I talked to the DA the day before we recorded, and I spoke with him. He's like, no one is checking the immigration status of victims. But that's what they were hanging on to. It just, I don't want to be associated with those people. And after we got done, I sent a text to Jason Anavatarde, who's my state senator Joseph Gullett, who's my state rep, and Martin Mumtahan, who's also a state rep for Paulding County. I just don't happen to live in his district. And I said, guys, I'm sorry. I had no idea that I was being lumped in with a lobbyist group, and I'm sorry, because that's not what I do. If there's a particular piece of legislation that I want passed, I'll make phone calls. But I don't want to associate myself with lobbying groups, particularly ones that have dudes in dresses. And look, we're not talking about trans like they want to look like women. I'm talking about a dude with a shaved head, 5 o'clock shadow, in a dress with fake boobs. Like, that's not who I want to be associated with. And look, he doesn't deserve to have the snot kicked out of him either. And I agree. If dude's a victim, I support him. I just don't want to be lumped in to that guy who's lobbying. So John Ossoff is not looking good.
No, there was a poll that came out this week. It was done in mid-January. He loses to every major Republican in the state of Georgia. He loses. Kemp's beating him 46-40. Actually, by contrast, Ossoff led other Republicans. So it sounds like that Kemp's the only one beating Ossoff. I don't think this is accurate. It's a name recognition thing at this point, but Ossoff's up on Buddy Carter by 13, Mike Collins by 10, John King by 16, and Rich McCormick by 11, and Raffensperger by 14. I just think that's a name recognition, but it's an interesting poll because they're going to start figuring out, who they want to get behind is going to be the question.
Yeah, I don't trust polls at all. Again, it was neck and neck going into the presidential, and what did we find out? Trump stomped Harris. So I don't put a whole lot of credence in. I don't know, man. I don't. I'm not saying Trump. Not Trump. I'm not saying Kemp's a man's man. Because he's not. He's like 5'1".
No, he's not. He's 5.
He's short. He's a lot shorter than I am. He's like 5'8". I mean, but no, but I don't think people like Ossoff. He's not likable. He's odd. And people just don't like him. He's a carpetbagger. He came to Georgia to run for office. I don't know. I just don't like Pajama Boy.
All right, we'll see.
It does have. It has nothing to do with his politics. I just looking at him, I'm just like, that's somebody I would give a wedgie to.
Yeah, you did notice I just said Kemp led Ossoff 46-40. I didn't specify which Kemp was leading 46-40.
Well, I assume it's Brian, not Marty.
Does it matter?
It does, because I don't think those credits transfer. We found that out with the speakers.
I know, but we'll see. He had a lot of baggage. Kemp's got very little baggage in the Republican Party.
Right. All right, so federal judge halts employee bailout.
Yeah, it sounds like it's halted.
A buyout.
Yeah,
buyout,
there's a hearing as the show drops today. He basically just halted until they had a more of a hearing. This is judge, and again, I'm just amazed at the power these federal judges have to just stop this type stuff going through. But it sounded like, this is the thing where Trump gave what did he give everybody? An 8-month buyout. He said if you take it, you'll get 8 months pay. It sounded like 60,000 people actually took the buyout, which was 3% of the federal workforce.
Tell me you wouldn't take it.
If they gave you 8 months of pay and you were, I don't know how many of them were retirement age too. So I don't know how many were, at the age where they could retire and were getting another 8 months. Yeah, I think I would. I think if somebody came to me and said, we'll give you 8 months of pay, I'm probably taking it.
Yeah. Well, hell yeah, you are.
Yeah.
It gives you 8 months to find something else to do. Now, look, honestly, with some of these federal employees, they do not have any skills that translate into the civilian world.
I think,
and I say civilian, I mean the non-government.
Yes, they don't. I mean, it's crazy. I don't know if you saw the stat, but they said the CDC this week, Musk and them came into the CDC and they said they were asking them how many are essential workers at the CDC in Atlanta. And only 10% of the people in Atlanta were what they deemed critical. So isn't that crazy that the CDC in Atlanta, only 10% of people there are deemed critical workers?
But this is something that I put out, a meme that I put out every time they shut down, quote unquote, shut down the federal government. Why do we have so many non-essential workers?
I don't know. I think they've just been hired all these years, and it's almost impossible to get rid of somebody once they get hired, and the money keeps flowing in. So, I mean, if the money keeps flowing in and there's never any, I mean, like, why would you fire somebody, I guess? If you were a manager, why would you bring attention to your department by actually laying people off or firing people? Especially if the money keeps coming in. It just doesn't make any sense. So the incentive has never been there for people to actually lay people off or cost cut or do any of that kind of stuff. But Elon's going through, I mean, it's amazing what he's doing.
Well, yeah, Elon is looking at the federal government as if it were a for-profit organization.
Yeah, which, I mean, should be. Yeah,
and again, this is Office Space. What would you say?
Yeah, I mean, he is, if you've seen Office Space, which is one of the best movies ever, the Bobs come in. It's like Bob and Bob, they're consultants. They come in and they interview every single person. And they asked one of the guys, he's like, what would you say you do here? And yeah, I mean, that's what Elon and them are doing. They're going through every single government agency and they're basically asking every employee, what do you do here? And it is amazing that they're calling Trump a tyrant for actually trying to shrink the size of government. I mean, it's truly amazing.
For doing what he promised to do.
I know, it's truly amazing. So, yeah, I think this is going to continue, though.
And you and I both know I'm not the biggest Trump fan in the world. I obviously voted for him. I don't like his vernacular. Is probably what I don't like about him. But he's a man of his word. He said he was going to bring Musk in, and they were going to start finding holes and things and get rid of it. We are on the precipice of getting rid of the Department of Education, which, God Almighty, please get rid of it.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, and
allow teachers to teach again.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting because they say when they get rid of the Department of Education that they don't want to get rid of the money coming into the states, but they want to do more block grants coming in. So, if the DOE, Department of Education in Washington gave Georgia $1 billion a year, now they give them $1 billion and they actually really set rules for how that money should be spent. And now they're saying, if you get rid of the Department of Education, you don't need it. We're still going to give a $1 billion block grant, but the money's going to come in with less strings attached. Now, I would question, do they need the $1 billion? But at least they're getting rid of all the strings that are coming down from the federal government and people sitting in D.C.
So, yeah, if you look at the DOE and you take all the administrative costs out of it, that's what's going away. The money to the states is still there.
Exactly.
So it's getting rid of all the BS that's
But I would argue that the money
look,
coming into the states should go down too a little bit. I mean, do we? Yeah.
Well, I agree too. I would get rid of public schools, and you know that.
Don't say that. My wife's a teacher. No, I get you though.
Well, no, your wife would do much better in a private school model because she would be able to shop her skills out to private organizations.
Yep. Oh well.
All right, so USAID.
It is gone, isn't it? I mean, they.
Oh man, they were taking the sign down. I saw that on the news. We're recording Saturday morning, so to pull the veil back.
That was the quickest I've ever seen a government agency just be demolished. Now, what I'm hearing is Congress is still going to fund USAID this year or USAID this year, which I don't know. how that's going to work. Congress should step up and say, screw it, we're not funding the organization again. But yeah, what came out, I mean, good Lord, they were giving what, 1.5 million to
the best argument I heard was what's her name? The member of the squad.
Omar. Yep.
Omar said that USAID fed her and all that stuff and facilitated her immigration to the United States. I'm like, that's the best argument against getting rid of USAID.
But again, I saw like Friday. I mean, you said recording on Saturday. Friday, another judge temporarily allowed 2,700 U.S. agency for employees that were put on leave by President Trump to go back to work, pausing aspects of a plan to dismantle the agency. So again, you've got another judge kind of stepping in here, blocking a Trump order. And this is going to be effective until February 14th. So I guess, they'll figure it out. And hopefully,
Happy Valentine's Day.
Hopefully Trump gets his way. But I mean, look, this is the best thing. Elon came out and said, we spent $32,000 for a transgender comic book in Peru, $47,000 for a transgender opera in Colombia, $2.5 million for electric vehicles in Vietnam, $6 million to fund tourism in Egypt. I mean, it's so amazing people could work there and think this is a proper use of people's money. And you may say, I saw that people saying, well, $32,000 is not a lot of money. Still, $32,000 for a transgender comic book in Peru.
That's their game. Is they float these things that are okay. To you and me, $32,000 is a lot of money. If I offered you $32,000 to wear a dress and tap dance, you'd do it. But within the federal budget, it's so small that it just kind of gets pushed through.
It's just amazing. There's never been any oversight on this program. Like, government's gotten so big that they can just fund this organization billions of dollars every year, and then there's never any oversight on how the money's spent. They just don't care. I mean, They just don't care.
Not to mention that if we're running a deficit, why the hell are we giving aid in?
I know, exactly. $2 trillion deficit too.
Yeah, why are we borrowing money to give to somebody else?
To fund tourism in Egypt?
Look, and if I know this is a losing argument, but take this into your own home. You're a generous guy. You give to charity. But you wouldn't go into debt to give to charity.
No, never. Nobody would do that. That's never a good idea.
Right. Well, and again, you're a generous guy, I'm sure that I give to charity. I'm involved with several charities that I give money to and work for. But if it were detrimental to my financial status, that it's between me being able to pay the guys that work for me versus paying for a charity, of course I'm going to pay the guys that work for me. Federal government doesn't have that sort of that button in their head. They just like, okay, well, yes, we are running a deficit. We're borrowing money, but we're going to give money to transgender studies in Afghanistan or some crap like that.
I thought the funniest thing that came out of this week is this kid with the hacker. I mean, he's a hacker basically. So Elon's got a bunch of young kids. He's got like it's a group, and it's a small group. It's like a group of 5 or 6 people that are writing AI-based programs that are combing through the budget to find stuff like this. So it's not like they're just looking through they're using technology and automation to see where all this stuff is. But
you talking about big balls?
Yeah, I'm talking about big balls. So one of the hackers' background aliases is Big Balls. This kid's name is Edward Korstein. The left is going crazy. I mean, I don't know if you saw the CNN special, but they kept talking about big balls, and it's just so funny. Matt Walsh on Daily Wire had a good time with it also, but look, Elon's got these kids in there. They're basically living in one of the government buildings. I saw one of the guys that works for him brought his family in, and they're living in an office building. But I mean, they're just combing. It's amazing what he can do with 5 people, and they're combing through the budget, and they're finding all this stuff, and they're going to slash it. So, how's it taken this long though to get to this point of doing this work? That's what's truly amazing.
Well, because, and look again, I'm not a Trumper. I voted for him, and I'm happy to see most of what's going on. But that's what he ran on, and so many people run on this idea that we're gonna slash the budget, but Trump's actually doing it.
Yep.
I don't care if the guy calls himself big balls or not. Look, he's a kid, but when you get into AI and anything computer based, you're gonna deal with kids. Just look at any 7-year-old knows how to use their tablet better than you do. And that's just the way it is. I mean, and Big Balls grew up his entire life
doing technology stuff, hacking, writing computer code and all that. So,
but wouldn't you rather have a white hat hacker working for us than working against us?
Yeah, and again, if this is the message, and this is what I think is so funny, like everybody says, the midterm elections typically are the ones that whoever the president is, his party just gets demolished in the midterms.
I don't see that happening this time around.
If Democrats continue to complain about illegal, like criminals being sent back across the border, if they continue to fuss about not giving money to transgender operas in Columbia and Purdue, they are going to get slaughtered. I mean, if they don't quickly figure out the game plan, they are going to get slaughtered in another year and a half.
And again, how do you defend transgender studies in?
They are though. I mean,
I don't think that's a thing.
But they are. It's like
something out of my.
It's
rectum
like Trump did the executive order this week where girls couldn't play in boys' sports again, and Trump was surrounded by about 200 girls when he signed that. I mean, is this what Democrats want to fight against?
I loved what he did. This is so Trump. I loved it. He said, "You guys can circle around." He goes, "Look, the Secret Service is upset. You think any of these girls is going to hurt me?"
But it was a great. But again, I mean, if this is what the left is, if this is what the left thinks a winning message is in 2026 or 2027, they are sorely mistaken. This is not. I mean, they are just.
Well, it'll make it even worse if they put Kamala on a ticket.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah.
Because I think in the midterms, California is going to have a gubernatorial race. If you put Kamala on a ticket, oh man, that will seal the deal for Republicans. And I won't say supermajority, but Republicans are going to do very, very well.
But they're crazy. They don't know what to do right now. They're just flailing. I mean, up the creek with no paddle.
Well, yeah, and look, and coming up, we have 2 Senate races in Michigan. Plus, well, Michigan's so hard to figure because they keep putting in Gretchen Whitmer. Now she's about to term out, but they keep putting her in, even though that Michigan went Trump. I have no idea why the hell they keep running Gretchen Whitmer. But I really think that both those Senate seats, you get one retiring and one that's terming. I think that could be 2 seats in the Senate for Republicans.
Yep.
And that's a huge deal.
Yeah, it is. We'll see though. And then, yeah.
All right. So the Senate approves a bill banning. It doesn't ban trans girls. That I'm reading your notes, but it gets boys out of girl sports.
Yes, and this is a Georgia Senate. So this is not the Senate in D.C. As we know, the Georgia Senate and Georgia House are in session right now. But the Georgia Senate last Thursday passed legislation to ban transgender girls from competing on teams that do not match their sex assigned at birth. In the Senate, this was actually a bipartisan vote. So it was pretty funny that the headline said largely along party lines, but it was 35-17, and there were a couple Democrats that voted with the Republicans on this. And there's also a bill, and I mean, this would have never happened up under Speaker Ralston, but Speaker Burns has also given his support to a measure that's coming through the House. So this is going to happen this year. Senate's passed it. The House is going to pass it.
Well, I did not run into Burns when I was at the Capitol last week. I don't think he particularly likes me. I know the previous speaker didn't like me at all. He knew exactly. I ran into him at a function, and he just walked away. He was shaking everybody's hand. I was there, and he just walked away. Yeah. But yeah, look. I think it should be a bipartisan thing. Let's talk about volleyball, okay? Just one sport. If I go up and spike playing volleyball against a man, it's one thing. If I go up against a chick and I spike the ball in her, I am stronger, bigger, and more athletic than the girl, and if I go up and spike and I hit her in the face, I could break her nose, and that's not what we want. The Title IX stuff guarantees girls access. Now, obviously, if we're doing gymnastics, that's separate. But when you start getting into physical sports, basketball, volleyball, those sort of things where if, again, using the example of volleyball, if I go up and spike, I could break a girl's nose because I'm stronger than she is. I'm bigger than she is. And it's funny to me with this stuff, and they say, why don't we see female to male transgenders playing football? And the reason is they can't compete with grown men. Even at the high school level, I mean, these are men. These are big guys. So, saying you're a dude and having an addictomy doesn't mean that you can compete against guys my size. I'm 6'1", 270. They can't compete in that arena. That's why we don't see a bunch of guys complaining that there's a girl in a locker room, which, honestly, we don't care. But that's why we don't see it. We only see it the other way.
Yep.
So that is the most obvious way of saying that men wearing dresses have a physical advantage over women, because we know that the converse doesn't happen. We don't see women saying that, okay, I'm a dude, and then competing in men's swimming and whipping asses, because that doesn't happen. I don't understand the left's idea that she's just a woman. No, she's not. It's a dude. It's a dude who has biceps like Mike Tyson.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. But anyway, this is going to be law in Georgia pretty soon here. It'll be a big deal made. And also the NCAA did it too. They changed their policy this week.
Yes, they did. And I support it. All right. So military recruitment is at an all-time high. Apparently.
Yeah, isn't that amazing? It happened right after the election, too. I saw this article. This was in December. So December 2024 was their best December in 15 years. They had nearly 350 soldiers enlist every day that month. So is this because of Trump getting rid of DEI and all that stuff? It has to be, right?
I will say that I've got a friend who's a Navy veteran. He is as liberal as you get. And he told his kid, who was talking about, this is during the last Trump administration, during 45. And he said, if you're going to join the military, do it under a Republican, because they take care of the troops. No, this dude is liberal as hell. But as a veteran, he knows because he served in both the Bush and Clinton administrations. And he said that Republicans take care of the troops better. I don't know how much of this is repatriation of all the troops that Trump said that can come back.
No, I think this was newly enlisted in December. This wasn't. I don't think this was people coming back. Yeah, I think this was all new.
I swore in under Clinton, and I didn't swear in because of Clinton. I swore in because, I wanted to serve my country. But I honestly, no new wars, and be able to serve your country. I think that has a positive impact. I think the DEI stuff really had a negative impact on recruiting because they don't want to put these kids don't want to put up.
I think they like Pete Hegseth also. I think he resonates very well with them. So I think that's a big part of it too.
Well, he resonates with veterans too. I mean, we love Pete. Yep.
Well, good for them. Good for the military. They're full. They're having to delay people coming in now. They've got so many. Like they can't get them through basic training. I saw they were building new centers for basic training now. But the military is full on at this point.
And look, I know almost no veterans who wouldn't like to shake Pete's hand. Because he is a warfighter. Yep. Look, I still think it's funny that a member of the E4 Mafia swore in the Secretary of Defense. But, Pete is a lot closer, even when he was an officer. He was only a major. He was a field grade officer. He was a lot closer to the troops than putting in some general who's been removed from the troops for 20 years. I think that you're right. I think that has something to do with it because you want to be, associated with Pete Hegseth because he's a war fighter. And that's why you join the military. You don't join the military because you want to plant flowers in Gaza. You join the military because you want to kill people and break things.
Yep.
And that's what we do. And that's what we do very, very well. Look, I am coming up on my 30th anniversary with the Army. I'm too old to go back, which does bother me a little bit. But yeah, I'd sign up to serve under Pete Hegseth. Absolutely. So Kash, look, I really, really, really like Kash Patel. But they put his nomination on hold.
Yeah, they did.
And I don't think this is a winning strategy.
No, I think he gets through.
Trump's going to do a recess appointment the first chance he gets.
Yeah, I think he gets through. There was another story that came out over the weekend that he took some money from some Russian organization for $25,000, some filmmaking type thing. I don't think that derails it, but yeah, I like the guy. I think he's going to really change the FBI. And again, if you listen to some of the questions from the Democrat nominees on the panel, it was just ridiculous. But
all right, so how do you? And this is to Kash's credit. How do you not smart off to these Democratic senators?
I don't know, but he didn't. He held his own and answered them really well.
Yeah, but how do you not call like Liz Warren Pocahontas?
Yep.
Like, how do you hold that back?
I don't know.
I mean, I'm not. I don't know if Liz Warren is in on his confirmation hearing or not. But if Liz Warren asked me a question, I would absolutely call her Pocahontas. Because first of all, I don't care. I'm not trying to get a job. I don't care. So that has one thing to do with it. But plus, I have no respect for that B. I just don't. She's a scumbag, but the same thing goes if Bernie Sanders asked me a question and be like, Senator Sanders, did you come up with this question in your first, second, or third house?
Yep.
So again, I'm not trying to get a job, so if they called me before Congress, they would give me a contempt of Congress charge because I have nothing but contempt for Congress.
Yep.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I really, really like Kash. He is a brilliant attorney. He really is. I mean, he served under Obama and Trump because he does his job. He's a brilliant attorney. So this whole thing with hammering him is pointless. It's also pointless the fact that Trump's just going to wait until they go in recess, and we're coming up on it because it'll be Easter recess in a month and a half, or almost 2 months, and Trump will just appoint him in recess, and then let Congress do whatever they do.
Yeah, we'll see.
And that recess appointment can go for 4 years, which is all he would serve anyway.
Yeah, I think he gets there. I think it'll be this week, but we'll see.
All right, so John Burns wants to create a database for children.
Yeah, we were just talking about the speaker earlier. So he came out last Monday and announced legislation to enhance school safety following last year's deadly school shooting in Barrow County. Basically, he's going to introduce legislation calling for a statewide database to track student mental health histories, development of an app for anonymously reporting threats to school, and a requirement for school districts to create safety management plans. And then they're also going to give a bunch of money. I think it's like $67,000 to each public school to implement more, safety proposals for the school.
This is a shit idea.
Yeah, the database is a really bad idea. I doubt if that gets through. Even though the speaker has a lot of power, I doubt if it does.
Is kids go through phases. And look, one of those phases is not go shoot up a school. I get that. But what this does is if a college gets a hold of this database, is keep a kid out of going to college because this kid came up with a database. Military. So what you're doing to these kids is creating
there's a lot of and there's a lot of different things that could be considered mental health issues. I mean, if a kid goes to the counselor and says he feels depressed, are they going to enter the kid into the app at that point? And now he's being tracked for the rest of his life around the rest of his school career around the state of Georgia. And then, like you said, how could that affect potentially getting into college or the military? So, yeah, anytime you're putting a bunch of names into a database, and I assume there's ways to opt out of this, but I don't know.
Why is John Burns so damn stupid?
Yeah, I mean,
how did he get to be speaker being that stupid?
Yeah, I mean, obviously somebody's telling him that this needs to be done. But I just don't know if this will get through.
I know.
I don't think it'll get through the Senate.
You feel kind of icky with trying to agree with me, but John Burns is a friggin' moron.
And this won't get through the Senate, I don't think. I think there'll be enough Republican senators to stop the database part of this. They'll probably still get a bunch of funding through for schools, but I don't think the database will get through. There's already been a pushback.
I don't mind funding for schools for security and all that stuff, but creating a database, that is right out of Orwell.
Yeah, I don't like that at all. Hopefully this dies.
Well, and the fact that he tied his name to this makes him stupid. And again, I know you won't say that because you're probably friends with John Burns, but I don't give a damn. That's stupid.
Well, not everybody. You can make a mistake every once in a while.
That's not a mistake. That's being a moron. That's not making a mistake. A mistake is putting a mistake is saying TO instead of TOO. That's a mistake. Saying that you should put minors on a government database is not a mistake. It's stupid.
Yep.
So, Burns, if you need to complain to anybody, send it to me. Ken's got your back. I think you're friggin' stupid. Sorry, Eric. I got close. All right. So Oscars publicity stunt backfires on him.
Yeah, this was pretty funny. So the Oscars nominated this lady, or this guy, I'm going to say a guy, called Carla Sofia Gascon, who, I don't know if you've heard about this movie, but basically he plays a trans drug dealer in Mexico that converts while being going through the process. Or he's a Mexican drug dealer and then is converting or going through the process, which is really strange because how many Mexican drug lords are trans? And the movie wasn't even filmed in Mexico. It was filmed like overseas. They say that the movie is just terrible. It's got like, I think the Rotten Tomatoes score is at 12% or something. I mean, it's one of the worst ones. Well, anyway, right after Trump gets nominated.
But that
typical
tracks for the Oscars.
It does. But Gascon became the first openly trans actor to be nominated for an Oscar. So this is a guy that's converted to a woman, transgender woman, and is nominated for, Best Actress. What's so funny about this is this was a whole publicity stunt. We know this. This was just pushback against Trump and everything. So 2 weeks after all this happened, so that was pretty funny that he got nominated for all these things. But they started looking back through their Twitter history of this dude, and this is when it got really funny because he said back in 2021, he wrote, I am so sick of so much of this, bleep of Islam, of Christianity, of Catholicism, and all the effing beliefs of morons that violate human rights. And then he had another tweet about Muslims in Spain. He said, every time I go pick up my daughter from school, there are more women with their hair covered and skirts down to their heels next year instead of English while to teach Arabic. And then he also tweeted about George Floyd, where he described George Floyd as a drug addict and a swindler. So this whole publicity stuff.
Well,
he was. Yeah, he was not wrong about that. But it's completely backfired on the Oscars now after doing this stunt.
Is that's hilarious to me because what he said is not inaccurate.
No, but you can't say that stuff.
Well, no, I can. I say it all the time.
Yeah,
but the funny thing is even as somebody that I'm not. First of all, a dude winning Best Actress really cheapens all the actresses out there, but they can't say anything about it. But his stance on quite a few things I don't disagree with. But it'll probably keep him from winning. I mean that's
I would think, and if this wouldn't have come out
yesterday as the show drops, right?
Yeah, and if this all this news wouldn't have come out, I'm sure he'd have won 14 Oscars. Because they were going to make a point of doing this. But now that all this has come out, I think he probably gets shut out. And the movie's terrible, too. But anyway, I thought that could have been the mule. Oscars could have been the mule of the week, but we had a better one.
Now, this is a good time to remind you these are our opinions, not those of anyone on the show or any respective company for which we may work, own, or otherwise associate ourselves with on a regular or irregular basis. Also, you can find other episodes and relevant stories over at georgiavirtue.com. All right, you came up with the mule this week.
Yeah, this was an easy one. This was a Michigan state representative. So this is a person that actually got people to vote for him. Her name is Laura Pohutsky. She's married. She said, and this is a quote, just under 2 weeks ago, I underwent surgery to ensure that I would never have to navigate a pregnancy in Donald Trump's America. She said, I refuse to let my body be treated as currency by administration that only sees my value and my ability to procreate. So she went through a forced sterilization on herself because of President Trump.
She had her tubes tied.
And she's married. I mean, which is even worse. What are these people thinking?
First of all, Trump is a 4-year problem if you're a Democrat. 4-year problem.
And again, if this is your message,
why would you take a 4-year problem and extrapolate that to the rest of your life.
And this is your message? This is how you're going to attack Trump, by sterilizing yourself? Now, look, I don't mind that she sterilized herself. Thank God people like this don't get to have kids. But, geez, can you imagine going in for tube tying is not a minor surgery either.
Well, you know,
I would have to question if she even did it, or is this just her saying that she did?
Connie and I tried our best to have kids. You know, it didn't work out for us. So I kind of take it as an insult to us that we tried. You know, when I say we tried our best, so yes, but we tried. And it didn't work out for us. And, you know, and for that, I get to travel a lot. I have a bourbon collection. I have a gun collection. but, you know, there is a hole in our lives that can't be filled because we couldn't have kids. For this woman to say that it's, first of all, I'm not even sure that she did it.
Yeah, I'm not sure she did it, but it'd be pretty easy to prove if she didn't do it. I mean, I'm sure somebody's going to come out and say she never checked into the medical clinic. But if she did, it's amazing that Trump lives in her mind like he is. I mean, he is occupying a lot of space in her brain.
And she's a state rep, state rep.
And let's just say she gets pregnant. She could go to any liberal state in the nation and get an abortion if she wanted to. She could fly to California. She could fly to New York. Michigan has abortion. I mean, they passed a law.
Well, she's in Michigan.
Yeah, so that's the point. Like, there's no reproductive health care or whatever they call it, which I hate that phrase. She could do anything she wanted if she got pregnant. So it's just, I don't even know what point she's trying to prove.
She's just stupid.
Yep.
All right, so we got some bills introduced in Georgia.
Yeah, the main one I want to talk about is just this. I know this hits a lot of people. I saw this on the news. Is they're trying to regulate pawn companies. So this was House Bill 300 that was introduced last week, and it was introduced by quite a few. It was chairman. So this is not just some backbencher at the Capitol introducing this, but it's a bill to require title pawn operators to treat cars like any other item in a pawn shop. So now you can go, I guess I haven't done this, but you can go to a pawn shop and you can pawn your car title, and all they keep is the car title. So this is telling a pawn shop that if somebody comes in and wants to pawn their car title, they actually have to keep the car.
Most pawn shops don't do that, by the way. I talked to a friend of mine this morning as we record that owns pawn shops. I didn't mean to call him. I was trying to call a different Jason, but anyway, he stays away from that because he doesn't, for his own sanity and his soul, he doesn't want to have to take a car seat out of a car and take it away from somebody.
Yep.
You know, we're talking about, a toddler's car seat. He does,
So he doesn't do title pawns, is what you're saying.
Yeah, right. He doesn't.
But there's a lot of companies that do the title pawns, and if you do title pawns, they're considered pawn shops and not lenders, because lenders have to follow state rules around laws regulating interest and all that kind of stuff.
And usury laws.
Yeah, usury laws. So if they claim to be a pawn shop, then they can take the title and give out the money at these extravagant rates that they do. I mean, sometimes it's like 1,600% interest. No, actually, this lady's interest rate is 152%. So she owes Title Max. This lady took out $5,000. She borrowed $6,000. She's paid back $5,000 already, and she owes another $11,000. And then I saw one of my friends that's in this business commenting on Facebook this article earlier today. And he said it kind of goes both ways. So it's not always a title shop that's doing this. A lot of times people are buying a $500 car, going in and get a title, get a title pawn, and people are giving them $1,000, and they just leave the car. They're like, all right, you can have the car because we got more money than we actually paid for the car. So this actually goes both ways on these on this whole title pawn business from consumers and the business.
Yeah, but I would say that is a rarity. I don't know. title pawn does put cash in people's hands, but once you're in that cycle, and it's what, 30% a month.
Yeah, it's crazy. But and look, this is going to get worse. So what's interesting about this is Trump is proposing capping the interest rate on credit cards to 10%. So if he does that, all that means is the banks are not going to give credit cards out unless you've got perfect credit in the future. So why would they give a card out that's capped at 10% to someone that's got a bad credit score? So if Trump gets his way there and caps credit card interest at 10%, then all those people are going to have to go somewhere to get money. And then at that point, they're going to go straight to the pawn shops and the title pawns, and it's going to make the situation even worse. So that's a terrible idea that President Trump has on capping.
Pawn shops are not evil. It is the oldest. It's what it's called is collateral lending.
Yep.
And pawn shops are some of the oldest forms of lending. Before credit scores were a thing or anything else, is you would, you'd take a loan, you'd take a loan on your wagon or your horse or anything like that.
Yeah, but anyway, they're going to regulate these things. I mean, look, they're going to regulate them, and they need to. I mean, they need to. This is probably a pretty good thing to do.
Well, I agree that title pawns are a scumbag business, but it's also scumbags cheating scumbags.
That is true. Yeah, I would imagine this will get some legs around the Capitol, though. I mean, it's all the Republican people signed on to this. A lot of chairmen. The 150% interest, though, is crazy. Georgia law caps it at 60%, so you're talking about 92% more that this lady had versus what the cap is in Georgia.
And look, when you pawn your title on the vehicle that takes you to work, that's your last resort. And the trouble is that if you're working for $15 an hour, and your monthly nut is a lot larger than a car payment, you can never get out from underneath it. And that sucks. But you're also an adult, and you made an adult decision.
Yeah, that's true.
And the government really has no place in it because you're an adult and you made an adult decision. We're not talking about pawning some kid's pack and play. We're talking about pawning a vehicle, and you're an adult. All
Very
right,
true.
Kenneth, as we're coming to the close, you have any closing thoughts?
No, I think I'm good this week.
All right, so as the show drops, we will have known what happened at the Super Bowl.
All the commercials. Can't wait to watch those.
I am reluctantly pulling for Philly.
Yeah,
I don't like Philly.
I don't like Kansas City.
I don't like Philly. I don't like the city. Philadelphia is just an awful place. You're talking about a fan base that threw snowballs at Santa Claus. But I am tired of seeing Taylor Swift go, oh, every time. It could be like 4th and 15 and Kelsey catches a 2-yard pass,
Yeah, it's truly terrible.
I'm just over it. And look, I think Taylor Swift is very talented. I'm not really into her music, but I think she's very talented, and she writes really good songs, and her fans love her and all that stuff. I'm just tired of seeing her on every play on offense for Kansas City. I'm just tired of it.
Yep.
And look, I like Travis Kelce. I like Patrick Mahomes. I think they are very, very talented. I'm just tired of it. Just please, Philly, just squash them. Just
please,
stop.
I'm with you. I think Philly's going to win. That's my prediction anyway. 31-28 final.
Well, there you go. We have a prediction. We'll find out next week if you're an idiot or if you're a prognosticator. So, On that happy news, I want to give a big thank you to Eric Cumby, our editor, to my partner in this endeavor, Ken Pullen. I'm Dave Roberts. We'll talk to you next week.
Oh, I've been running from the law. Hope they won't shoot me down soon. They sing on a sleepless night. Try to catch me howling at the moon.